And like I said, all right, guys, we're 3 minutes after the hour. Want to make sure that we respect everybody's time. I know it's Saturday. You could be anywhere in the world, but we're glad you're here rocking with us. I know it's graduation season, Mother's Day tomorrow. Happy early Mother's Day to everybody on the call to whom it applies. Um, Before we jump in to today's training, on behalf of Eric and Myckelle, I am extremely excited to present or introduce someone to you guys. As you know, it is our absolute mission to make sure that your time here with the Win Blueprint is not only impactful, but that it is beneficial. We try to make sure that you have everyone in place to make your real estate investing journey not only simple, but enjoyable. And I don't know if you guys saw us while we were at our last Boots on the Ground and a couple of Boots on the Grounds before that, but we have been tirelessly interviewing people so that we can make sure that we add to the team, add to the roster of absolute rock stars that you guys can reach out to and depend on. And we have one joining the team today. And if you ever are looking out the window when we're on our bus tours, you might notice that there's this one sign that we see all the time in terms of listings, and it's Howard Hanna. They're everywhere, right? And especially on the west side, you see tons of listings from Howard Hanna. And I have the pleasure of introducing one of our new realtors to the team, Myckelle Delavella. She is part of the Howard Hanna team. She's been a realtor in Northeast Ohio and is born and raised native to the city. And guys, we interviewed a lot of realtors. I hope you know that Eric and Myckelle and I sat with a lot of realtors, and some were good. Some were even really good. Some left us sitting there saying, this is going to be hard to figure out. But when we met Myckelle, all of us literally at the end of the interview were like, yeah, this is gonna work. And so, Myckelle, welcome to the Win Blueprint. Take a few minutes, tell everybody about yourself. We are absolutely excited to have you.
Hello, everybody. Like Chuck said, I am Myckelle Delavella. I'm with Howard Hanna, one of the top brokerages in the United States. I just want to say that it's a million real estate agents out there. I totally know that. And I think that what makes me special and working with me is that I kind of become your bestie. I'm looking out for you. I'm like your lawyer. I'm going kind of above and beyond than what I've seen other agents do to just make sure that you're winning, like the Win Blueprint says. So not only do you get me, I come with a team. So my team is the Myckelle Delavella team. He is my cousin. So we've have over 30 years of experience in real estate collectively. Um, that includes admin. So a lot of agents work on their own. So when it comes to paperwork, getting things done fast, they have a lot of different clients. And with me, I have an admin that is on top of everything. So you're not just getting me, you're getting her, you're getting other expertise. Not only are you getting that, I, like Chuck said, am a native. I grew up in Cleveland Heights. When it comes to the east side and the west side, I kind of know it all. I've lived in the Larchmere area for over 7 years, and now I live on the west side. However, most of my business is on the east side just because that's where I'm from. I like to say that I have a white glove service. So a lot of you guys are not here. I do not mind going to look at properties before you actually come in town. There are just things that I will do that other people won't do. On top of that, my husband has a construction company where we finish kitchens, bathrooms, basements, all of those things. Not to say that you will use him for your property, but it gives me an added expertise on properties and renovations and the things you might have to do when we're looking at these properties. And I get my hands dirty too. So when it comes to renovating even my own home, finishing our basement is things that I am physically doing that a lot of agents don't kind of do and don't know about. So that is me. Do you guys have any questions? No? Okay. Well, I look forward to working with you guys. I truly believe that when you choose an agent, it's really a fit of personalities. Of course, the business needs to be top tier, but the personality matters. It's just dealing with people. That's what real estate is. So thank you for welcoming me. I am excited to work with all of you.
Thank you very much, Nicole. We got a couple people in the chat saying thank you now. Wonderful. Nice to meet you as well. And guys, you know how this works. Some of you are in various stages of your course. So you will either be getting ready to interview your realtor soon. Some of you have already chose realtors. But like I said, on behalf of Eric and Myckelle, we wanted to add another sniper to the roster so that we can make sure that you guys have everything that you need. Eric, anything you want to say before we move on? You're muted, sir.
Let's grow.
Thank you for coming out. God bless you. Good night. All right, guys, listen. So I know a lot of you saw it in the Facebook group, and some of you have been sending messages saying, what is a flip-ulator? What is that? We already have the WINULATor. We know how to analyze properties. We getting kind of good at this thing. Some of y'all, y'all like to send numbers on things and debate in the group yourselves on who got the right ARV. And we absolutely love that. That is what you should do. We all know that you make your money going into the deal. So the analyzation of properties is absolutely paramount. And so what I have the pleasure of doing right now is getting ready to introduce my sister, y'all's mentor, but my sister, right? This is somebody that we've grown to know and love, tons of respect for, and she's put in a lot of work to help develop this. And so for the rest of the training, guys, I'm going to turn it over to the world famous Miss Myckelle Williams. Myckelle, take it away.
Aw, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Chuck. Always a warm welcome. Love it.
Absolutely. I got my coffee today. We good.
Everybody, thank you so much. Okay, so everybody knows me. I'm Myckelle, coach and mentor and with the Win Blueprint. And we, wanted to talk about something that we're introducing and rolling out. And I've had the experience of obviously going through analyzing after analyzing after analyzing. I see some things that people have issues with. I see some common mistakes that people have made. And I also see things that you guys are doing amazing. But we wanted to talk about a lot of those things today too, just so that we're all tighter on running our numbers, and making sure that we all are on the same page at all times, as well as, we always know that we have the property flow chart and the WINULATor, but then, everybody always wants to know, well, if I flip it, what is the profit margin that I'm going to get? And I think it's easier to do it this way, where we put together a analysis tool. There really hasn't been any out there that are not complicated and very, so many numbers, it gets, out of control. So what I wanted to do was, like, I looked at other calculators and I interviewed every single one of our lenders over the last month, to get their exact rates, because we all know when we're shopping our loans that they're all different. Everybody, Neil is different than Andrew. Andrew's different than, Patrick, and Jeremiah's different than all of them. And so what we want to do is be able to kind of have an easier way to try to figure out which strategy, either buy and hold or flip, works for us, but also to go into, let's see if flipping is actually a good option, because I know we've been pushing buy and holds a lot, but flipping could actually be a good option too. And when I'm discussing some of the things that are challenges that I've seen, if Eric and Chuck want to chime in with some of the challenges that they've also experienced as mentors when it comes to numbers, they're welcome to add some things to that too, because I want to make sure that we cover all those bases. And then at the end, of course, we'll ask questions. So if you have questions, just put them in the chat here and we'll go through that as well. So hold on. You know what, Chuck? Because you're the new host, you're gonna have to give me permission to share my screen.
Permission granted. Permission granted.
Thank you. All right. I was like, wait a minute, why I can't share now? So hold on. Okay. And you guys got to let me know if you can see it. All right. Okay. So pretty much today we're going to talk about is deal analysis one-on-one. I mean, as mentors, we all have our own style of how we teach, which is a good thing. I want everybody to have their own individual personalities, and that comes out in the course. Me, I'm more analytical as far as paperwork. They used to call me the form lady at every job I was ever at. So I like to bring those talents into the Win Blueprint. So I'll make a lot of documents and forms that I feel help me to be able to mentor better. So, such as the flow chart, I do an 11-point checklist. And of course, now the flip-U-lator. So there are things that I feel like, hey, this could make our lives easier as investors. So I'm always going to try to come up with ways to create those things. So when we're talking about analysis, the first thing we want to just say is, what is it? And obviously, it's evaluating a potential investment to determine whether it's financially worthwhile. We're not just running numbers just to run them and saying, hey, let's just throw a bunch of numbers together and see if they stick. It's actually to make sure that you guys profit off of these deals. Our goal at the end of the day is that we minimize your risk and increase your returns as much as possible. And it's also saying, what's the feasibility that this is something that I can do? As we discussed on the first lesson, everybody's journey is different. The way that you need to go about getting to your win number may be different than someone else's. You may have a certain credit score that's different than other people's. We're not in competition. We're all learning this the same way. But you may want to do a flip and someone else may want to do a hold. And so your costs will be different. A lot of people are like, well, why aren't all our costs the same across the board? It is different based on the contractor you choose. As you guys know, one contractor can be $10,000 more than another as you're learning these things. But that's because some of them are better at flips, some of them are better at buy and holds. And we've talked about that on the Win Blueprint so that you guys can understand it. So the goal is that when you get the house, that you're able to either be able to do a refi and be able to pull as much money as you can out on that DSCR loan, or that you make a good amount of profit with a flip. I would say for me, 40 grand is my good number. I feel like if you have a spread of around 40 grand after all your costs and fees and everything, then you're doing pretty good. It could be less, and you can allow your money to accrue in the house over time and then sell it. But I just like to look at that as like a sweet number for me. And I'll explain more about that later. But proper analysis is important because the right deal can bring profit and the wrong deal can cause major loss. We've seen that with, people who jump into things and they're like, oh, especially if you try to go off the blueprint. Eric always says, you on your own, we'll wish you well, but our thing is like, stick with the numbers, understand the numbers, learn the numbers. And if you don't understand the numbers, do not feel afraid to come to your mentor and ask those questions. That's what we're here for. Because our goal is to make you a profit. At the end of the day, the goal is to be able to refi that house. And that's what the lenders look at. That's why we do the 75% of ARV minus repairs, the golden, all those things. We do those numbers so that you're able to later on make money off of it. Because if the numbers don't line up, just because you think the house is cute or you think it's in a great area or whatever, that it doesn't matter. It's not going to bring you profit. We don't want to do it. So we choose to kind of have you walk away from those situations. So I always say up front to the mentees to count the cost before you get a property. There's so many things you have to look at. Some of us just think the price of the house, what's the ARV, and then what's the lender, what's the loan amount, and then I divide, subtract all that, and then I get what I'm going to make. That's not true. There's multiple fees involved. And what I typically do after we get through your final session with your agent, I put you with every lender and ask you to call them personally to talk to them about their own, fees and rates and costs, because they're all different, but you guys need to understand that these are a part of your closing costs and your fees. I always have people come up to me, is this right that they're charging a initiation fee or an upfront fee, or they want this? Yes, that's this business. It's a business. They do want to make money. Yes, that's the answer. Yes. So know that going into it, you're borrowing their money. Now, unless you come, you got a bunch of cash you want to bring to the table, you don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. But if you're borrowing someone else's money, you're typically going to pay an initiation fee. You know, you guys have known that Neil, he calls it, some of them call it origination, some of them call it initiation, but Neil charges, you know, like sometimes 2 to 3% of the loan up front. And then they have fees within to JAG that come in at the closing table. So sometimes you can pay him up to 6 grand, but sometimes some of the other lenders could just call them different fees. But at the end of the day, it could be anywhere from 5 to 6 grand that you're paying, or 4 to 6 grand that you're paying these guys to do these loans for you. You have an interest rate also, and usually it's an interest only payment. So you guys are paying that monthly. It doesn't drop the price of the house. So what you're paying is simply interest only. So when you get ready to refi that loan, you're still paying that. You're still in it for that full house amount. You still owe that full house amount. You haven't paid down any of that principal. So you guys got to start thinking of that. There's closing costs. You have your commissions to your agent. You have, if you wanted inspections, if there are attorney's fees. And a lot of people don't even think about the holding costs. The holding costs are your mortgage that you're paying during that rehab time. So if your rehab takes 3 months and your mortgage is $900 a month, then you're paying $2,700 just in holding costs because no, you don't have a tenant in there. You know, so you got to think of the utilities that you had to turn on, the gas, the water, the electric for the contractors, the insurance, all those things that go into holding a house while you're waiting during that rehab are things you should take into account as well. So I always say count all the costs and don't think, oh, there's just this little 1 or 2 things I got to pay. That's why the WINULATOR is so detailed and has so many numbers in it. Because you are actually going through what is insurance, what is taxes. We're dividing all these things up so you know your actual costs. So I do an 11-point analyzation. And so when I'm teaching you how to analyze homes, we go through 11 items. If y'all want to screenshot this, you're able, but most of the people should know it already if you've already been through the course. If you haven't, you will learn this, but you always check your zip codes, you determine the age of the picture. You're going through this not just because we're trying to make it take so long, because I've had some people be like, oh man, this is going to take 15, 20 minutes. Eric will tell you that he analyzes every property 30 to 40 minutes. Chuck probably will sit there for 40 minutes looking at a property. And then once you get your numbers from your contractor and your realtor, you have to reanalyze the numbers again because now you have more accurate numbers. So you're going to do it again and again and again until you come up with the right number for you. You have to do numbers for a flip, numbers for a buy and hold, numbers for the refi. What happens when my rate drops down to 7%? Let me type in the numbers. I always tell people in the WINULATOR, type in your numbers for the 15% interest rate, and then turn around and do it and see what it is after your refi. So you see the profits you're going to get once you finish the refi, because that's the real numbers, you know? So all of these things need to be looked at in order. And that's what we teach you as part of the WinBlueprint, of course, for everybody who's new. And you'll be learning these things, but it's just making sure that you understand this property inside and out, because we don't want you to go into this blind and making mistakes that could cost you money. So when you're determining the ARV, of course, we tell you guys, ARV is after repair values. I can't even tell you the number, the number of people who come to me and say, this is my comp and the house is not even rehabbed. Okay. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I'm going to tell you exactly what a good comp is. A good comp is within 1 mile, the same year built, same square footage. Sorry, I spelled square wrong. Same number of bedrooms and bath, and sold within 6 months. That's ideal. Now, you're not always going to find exactly what you're looking for. Sometimes it might be off by, one bathroom or half a bath or whatever, but you can there's 2 ways to do that. You could take the square footage and compare square footages to make that house bigger or smaller. Or you can add a bathroom and do comps. Let's say you have a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. You can add a second bathroom and do comps with 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses, so you can see how much you're bringing in value. So I would always say compare 3 or 4 to keep practicing yourself. Your agent obviously will give you a CMA later, but it's always good to learn how to do this yourself. So you don't just count on just the agents to do it for you. You always want to know wherever you go, because again, when you leave the Win Blueprint, you're going to be going out and doing it in different states, and you want to know how to run these numbers no matter where you go and not have to depend on other people. So you just take the top 3 or 4, you add the total of the price of all those houses together and divide by the number of houses. That's how you get averages. Y'all learn that in math class. And so you just get your average together so that, and you can bring that to your realtor. You can write it on your flow chart. It's just going to help you get better. So these are a couple of little things that I see that sometimes there's errors that I see done. And if you guys have questions about this, of course, we'll have time at the end to ask. But choosing the house not rehab is the number one I always see. Like you're saying, this is my comp. My comp is, one of my comps is 90,000. Like, no, you don't want to choose a comp, because when we look at that house, you can see if it's 90,000, it's more than likely not even rehabbed. So just making sure that you choose a house that's not rehabbed. That's what a lot of people are doing right now. And so making sure that the house is rehabbed. So going in and looking at the pictures of your comps is important too. But obviously, if the house is 170 or 180, then it more than likely is rehab. So you got to look at the higher end homes. I always say when I'm looking at rehab, doing comps, and I do a search, I'll always search like from most of the time from like 95 or 100,000 up to 300,000, just to look and see what's in that general area and see if I can find any that are higher priced homes right in that area I'm trying to be in. Because the goal is to get the best comps that are the highest price if you can. Choosing outside of the area is big because you got Shaker Heights right next to 44120. They're right super, super close on the border together, and you can sometimes slip off into another school district. So sometimes you can check by school district just to see and verify that those houses are the same, because they will throw your comp out if you are not in the same school district. And there's ways to look at the school district, of course. There's all different sites. You got places like homes.com that will tell you those things. And you can just look it up. You can look up the area too, or the address, and put it in the school district search just to see. And choosing comps with way higher or lower square footage. I've seen that being a mistake too, that people make. If the house is, 1,500 square feet, you don't want to choose higher or lower 200 as of a 200 square foot variation. Okay. So if you're having a 1,500, unless you're adding a room, if you're adding a room or a bathroom or whatever, you can go a little bit higher because you're probably going to add that square footage to be a better comp for you. But generally you want to stay within 200 square feet. Eric and Chuck, is there anything you wanted to add to this that you've seen that are comp mistakes that you've seen people make?
Let Eric go first.
I'm not, yeah, if you have, if you have.
No, you're nailing it. Really, that's a big deal for the 44120 is you'll come back with a $250,000 comp because you're looking in Shaker Heights and not in Cleveland. So just make sure, just pay attention to that. And down at the bottom, if you're looking on Zillow, it'll tell you what school district you're in on every listing. So, but no, other than that, Myckelle, you hitting all the targets.
You're killing it. Guys, for me, I would say 2 things. One, make sure that you're doing your own comps. Don't just depend on your realtor to get you a CMA, and don't just depend on sites like homes.com that are just going to give you those spoon-fed comps. I want you to really, really, really be comfortable with finding your own information, because that's going to help you stay on top of the market. I don't know if you guys noticed, but within the last 4 or 5 months, we've saw property values drop and then go right back up. And so those are things that and it may be a $5,000 to $10,000 window, but those are things that are going to matter when it comes into doing all of the fees and all of the calculations for you to understand if that's going to be a good purchase for you to do a DSCR loan or for you to do a flip. So don't depend on somebody to spoon feed you anything. Will not make you a real estate investor. That will make you somebody that can eat when somebody feeds them. And we are here to make you professionals. But other than that, no, Myckelle, you are killing it as always. Feel free to take it away.
So yeah, and please do not go to Chat GPT and try to pull up comps. I've seen too many people do that and it's wrong. So please don't do it. We want you to
It's wrong every time.
every
Every time.
time,
Every
Please don't do
time.
it.
wrong
Every time.
every time.
So, okay, real quick. Let me just give you guys a quick answer on why that's wrong. Chat GPT is regurgitating information that gets put in. So if the county does not put in their information on time, Chat GPT cannot give you any information on the back end. For instance, when we're analyzing other markets, like looking at Detroit or looking at some of these other states that you guys say that you want to invest in, if Wayne County doesn't put in any information and report it to the state or report it to the counties for the better part of 2023, I think is the last time that they posted information. Guess
Okay.
what? ChatGPT is going to give you 2-year-old information. So again, don't take no shortcuts. You guys, if you want to be a real estate investor, if you want to take the profits, I tell everybody, if you want $100,000, do $100,000 worth of work, right? ChatGPT can only give you what the information is that's put in there. Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, you're 100% right. So make sure you guys go and find the comps. Usually when I'm showing people how to run comps, I'll go to the map. We'll go to the streets. We'll look at it on the map and see all the streets around it. And then when we look at our comps, we'll see if it's within those streets. So you gotta like really do some due diligence to make sure you're finding, not just throwing, oh, it's in the same zip code, we're good. Because that zip code can be 2-3 miles wide. Okay, so some of you guys are doing amazing on the comps. I will say Eric puts a lot of posts up showing houses, Chuck too, and you guys are killing it. I got some numbers, people like Kelly, like Henry and Andrea, they're killing it too with their numbers always. I love it. All right, so just try not to make those mistakes. And there are also some analyzations mistakes that I see when people are running their numbers on deals. They're not counting all the costs, like we said. They're not looking at that whole list of costs that we have, things that are important that are being left out. They're not taking into account the property insurance or the lender fee or whatever they're not counting. So they're always shocked at the end of the day when that pops up. So that's what you want to make sure you talk to your lenders up front, get every fee. Talk to your agents up front and get every fee. And that's why we make you interview them and have you ask those questions that we send you to ask them. So you can make sure there's no surprises later on. And number 3, not considering that fix and flip rehab quotes differ. I think that a lot of people, when they think of a rehab, they go in, oh, I think my rehab is going to be 30,000, right? And they want to flip a house. Okay. So typically, people, when you're doing a flip, your rehab cost is much more. And the reason why is because the person who wants to rent a house does not look at everything that a person who wants to buy a house looks at. So the person who wants to buy a house is going to look for the little details. They're not only going to want to do inspections, they're going to do appraisals. They're going to want to go through, I see this crack in the wall. I see this and that and the other. So you have to be much more careful with your rehabs with a flip, and it's going to cost more, just so you know. So you could make more money, but you have to consider that in the costs, your rehab is going to be more too. And that's where a lot of people forget. They forget, yeah, you're paying more and you're making more, but you're also paying more as well. Okay, on a flip. So look at the cost for both as well. So we have now several tools for analyzation that we currently use. One is the flow chart. This is uploaded into the WinBlueprint group page. It is a chart that actually helps you go through the 11-point checklist so that you can do it on your own and you can have everything on one sheet. I've seen people have 9 sheets, that they're going through this. They have stuff everywhere, and it just helps you to kind of put everything on one sheet. And then the rent you later, because we're going to be calling it the win you later. We love the win you later name, but we're going to be moving it over to calling it the rent you later, because a lot of people don't understand that's just for rentals. Even though we have it written on there, it's just for rentals. Even though we say it, a lot of people keep forgetting, and they're like, "Well, I can't see how I'll make money on my flip on here." It's a rent you later. It's only for rents. And then we're going to add the FLIP-U-LATOR. So we'll have the rent-U-LATOR and the FLIP-U-LATOR. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce both of these. But do you guys have any questions so far before, Chuck, are there any questions in there before I get to doing that?
There are no questions in the chat currently. There was one mention, you mentioned somebody, I think somewhere earlier, you said, when you leave the Win Blueprint, Joe said, who's leaving?
Tell everybody you don't ever have to go.
Right, right. Stay with us. Stay with us.
Our goal is like with your kids. I want them eventually to be able to get
Yes.
their own house and their own car and their own life and their own goals, So I know other programs will keep you in, like just constantly trying to, oh, now, and we're all, some of us are from Rain. Oh, now there's this you need to, and now that
Right,
they never graduate you towards independence.
right.
I've known people still in Rain 3 years, still like, okay, now next month I got to pay for this. And you're just like, okay, where are you going? Because you haven't gotten properties. So this is more like we're graduating you out of the course and into learning how to fish. And we tell you that in the group too. We're teaching you to go to any area and take this Win Blueprint, not any, but any good investment area, and take this Win Blueprint and be able to reproduce it yourself. So you guys all tell us areas that you want to invest in. So this is your opportunity to learn this and take it where you want to go. And that's okay. You can still stay with
Absolutely.
us. You can always be a part of the family. But, of course, we want you to have that independence. We're going to be proud of you. We see you do your first house in Alabama or wherever you feel like it's a good area, Birmingham.
Yeah.
I guess that's Alabama too. But anyway, just go. You know what I mean. Going out there and getting your legs and growing in these things. So that's important to us as well. No, but you don't have to go nowhere. All right, so I'm going to pull up now, just real quick, the flow chart, because I don't know if you guys have seen it. But it's on the page. So the flow chart is just kind of going over, this is how you fill it out. And sometimes I'll have people like, hey, put a picture of the house here so you can remember it. In the corner, it just goes into the address, the current listed price, whether it's a triplex, duplex, the square footage, the yearly taxes. Okay, and beds and baths, days on market, everything that you need that we asked you as part of this 11-point list. And this way you can have it all on one sheet. And what we typically ask you to do, so these are details like if there's an additional lot, anything like that, the comps, when you add up all the comps, the rental market average, the Section 8 average, you guys have all those forms and documents, but this just gives you one place to put it all. Paying tenants in each unit. And then we tell you, just do the calculators on the WINULATOR to see which exit strategy you can get. Then there's a checklist here. Ask your agent for the CMA after. They'll pull rent roll if a tenant lives there. They'll pull POS if it's an area like Garfield Heights. The agent can pull the approximate rehab estimate, blah, blah, blah. All the things we actually do. And the contractor quote. Then this gets into your max allowable offer, 75% of ARV minus repairs, which we talk about. And once the offer is accepted, you can write that down. And this will be your form to carry through with this property. So you don't have to search all over and keep going on Zillow and looking. You put everything on these forms so that you just can, and some people make their own spreadsheet, and that's fine too. However you do it to make it easier for yourself, what it does is it allows you to be able to kind of narrow everything down. So of course, with your agent, the first thing we do is have you send us the flow chart and the WINULATOR together. And then you tell us your exit strategy, and then your agent will go ahead and go in and walk the property. So the numbers have to work first, because otherwise you're just sending your agent 3 and 4 properties. That usually doesn't work for them because they're busy and they don't need to just go around just searching for houses. So this helps to narrow it down. If your numbers work on here in the WINULATor, then you know you can give it to us and move forward to the next step, which is having your agent go and look at it. And you guys learn all this through the course, of course. So I'm just going to go into the FLIP-U-LATor too, because I want you guys to understand how that works. I'm pretty excited about this one. Let's see. Make sure I have it up.
So while Myckelle pulls this up, guys, here's my first word of caution. Okay, do not forsake your rent-ulator for the flip-ulator. The way to build wealth is still buy and hold. We do understand that every once in a while it will be time to put some cash away, take some cash out of a deal, and build up your liquid reserves. But the way to actually build wealth is through your buy and holds, because with your flips, you may make 40, 50, 30, whatever, but you may make some thousands, right? 30, 40, 50,000. I didn't want to say that out of order, but you're only as good as your last one. You will have to continue to do that. Rents will pay you every month as well as the appreciation. So we are not changing philosophies. We are giving you another tool to your arsenal. All right.
Because when I first started, sometimes Eric was flipping single families constantly and holding the duplexes. And we pivot, we change. As the market changes, sometimes our process changes. So you want to know how to do it in either situation. I There was a property I wanted to rent out, and then at the last minute, I decided it's better to go ahead and flip it because I wanted to get some cash to get in a different area. So that's okay. You're pivoting, and it's okay to do that, but you need to know how to pivot, because if you only know how to run numbers on rentals, and you don't really 100% learn how to run numbers on the flips, then you really don't have all the knowledge you need to make a solid decision, to me, in my opinion. Does anybody have any questions about how to do the WINULATor? I'm going to go into the flip. I'm assuming a lot of you know how, and if you don't because you haven't been through the course yet, it's okay. We'll teach you during the course. We don't really need to teach you now because we feel like we've taught you, but if you have any questions about it or places you're stuck in it, it's a good time to ask right now while we're here to help you. Everybody good on that? Okay. So I'm just going to go into the FLIP-U-LATor then. 1 second. Pulling it up. All right. Can you guys see my screen? Chuck, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. Henry, I do see your questions. We will answer those after we go over the FLIP-U-LATor, just for the sake of time, because this is a few minutes and we're probably about 20 minutes out. So I want to make sure that we get this covered and then we'll do that question.
Okay. So this is what you're going to get, and it's going to be where you can fill this in, of course. And a lot of these areas self-populate. Right now, I just kind of wrote this on the side. I might keep it here, but it's just like a guide to help you understand what these things are. You guys should already know. So I just put a address in. You could type in whatever your own address is. The cool thing is there's lots of space on the side. So if you wanted to put a picture of the house to remind yourself, you can do that as well. So let's just say the list price of this house is 90,000. Okay. And then you go ahead and you get your contractor in to do the rehab, and he says 45,000. Okay. And the purchase price. Oh, and then the cool thing about this is that once you put the ARV in here. So let me tell you the different sections first. This is the initial purchase when you first buy the home. That's why it's highlighted in yellow and says initial purchase. So everything here is when you first get ready to buy it. Everything here is when you get ready to sell it. And then everything here shows you what your profit will be. So it's when you buy it, when you get ready to sell it, and then what your profit will be. And these are all the fees for the lenders that I was telling you about. And some of the holding costs will be in here too. So that will make sure you get all your fees in here. As you talk to each lender, you're going to fill in these boxes. So when Neil tells you the initiation fee is $3,500, or let's say he says for this house it's $2,800, and then the JAG admin fees on the back are $2,900, and this is a 15% loan, you'll start it'll start filling in your monthly payment as you fill out the rest of this form. So the next thing you would have to do is find your ARV. So you go through this neighborhood and find out this house is worth, let's just say 170,000. So now the numbers start coming in to showing you what they are. It'll start telling you like what's your max allowable offer, what's your revenue. So the purchase price you decided after you're done to buy it for, I don't know, let's say 95,000, sorry. All right, so everything starts filling in. So let me see what the heck is going on with this thing. I got something that's not filling in. I might have to go to the original one because this is our copy of one, and I'm not seeing it the number coming through. Hold on a second.
Oh, from the transition from the formats.
Yeah, when we transitioned, I'm trying to make sure it fills out, and that's another bug we might have to work out of it. Let me see. Yeah, because it's supposed to be filling this out. 95. The max allowable offer usually pulls right up.
You want to pull up the original?
Hmm?
You want to pull up the original?
Yeah, I might have to.
Let's do that
Because
we got about 15
Yeah, you can
minutes.
get a question while I do that. I'm gonna have to pull up the original, but go ahead.
So if you guys, some of you saw in the chat, I'm sure, Henry has a great question. He's saying, is there a better way to analyze um, the rehab costs? And Eric did already answered in the chat, but we give you guys typically the average rate of what we would like you guys to spend on a rehab. If it's over that 45K window, then you are taking on a much larger risk. So we want to keep you at that number. So we would like you to use that number as a baseline for your rehabs. Always give yourself a $5,000 to $7,000 window as well, because things tend to happen. At the end of the day, it is Cleveland. So things do happen, whether it's weather, whether it's tariffs on prices, or whatever the case is. You want to always give yourself a $5,000 to $7,000 window. Use that and make sure you have a contractor walk through. Doesn't necessarily need to be your contingency for the offer, but at some point before you start moving forward with the rehab, you need to have some written numbers. So you need to have a contractor in there, take a look at it, that can tell you that you're going to be, closer to that $40,000 number. You may get a surprise, as Eric said, surprise, surprise. You may get about 30, 35 grand. But always give yourself, regardless of what that quote is, a $5,000 to $7,000 window, so that you make room for the what ifs.
I think the
But we
big
give you guys that number.
that, Chuck, a lot of people, they're kind of surprised that the contractors' quotes are a little bit different than each other. Like one
Absolutely.
could be, but they're all independent contractors. So, we can't tell them what to charge. We can't tell them their rates. Their rates are whatever their materials are from whatever stores they go to, plus their labor. So one guy may get a greater discount on supplies. And so that's why we can't give you exact numbers. Like people are like, what is the exact cost of this or that? We don't know, depending on your contractor. His supplier may charge him more than the next contractor's supplier. So they have to go by what
Yeah.
their workers tell them, or their suppliers say the cost is. They add their fee onto that, and then they add labor. It could be different because one guy could get a refrigerator for 1,000, another guy's refrigerator could be 1,500. We don't know, so we try to give you round numbers. Eric always says never give exact numbers, so that we can make sure that you guys don't get caught in expectation and then be shocked like what. But I'm going to go ahead and share this real quick.
And there's also the type of rehab you're doing as well. So
Yes. So, okay. So these numbers changed, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. Okay. So this part is the initial purchase. Let's say you find a house on East 143rd. The listing price is 85. The purchase you end up giving, let's just say you give 70,000, because I've done that before. This number is going to change. It's going to be your max allowable offer based on your ARV. So if the ARV for this house is, you're buying it for 70, it's worth 160, which is a nice number. You'll see right here the max allowable offer changes. So now it auto populates to be 87,000. That's 75% of the ARV minus repairs. So if the listing price of this house is 85, you offer 70, the ARV is 160. You can start looking at how much your profit is going to be by coming down here, maybe typing Neil's fees in. Like I said, if they're 2,800 and JAG's charging 29, 15% interest rate, this will be your approximate monthly payment. So you can also now find through this how much your monthly payment will be of that, according to what the lenders told me how they calculate it usually. Now it might be a little higher or I would say a little higher because we're doing this based off the ARV. So sometimes your payment's a little lower than this, but this is a good round number. It's right around that. If it's lower, it'll be like $50, $60 lower. So you don't really need to fill in this gray part. It adds these two together up here to make this 5,700 so that you're starting to know all your fees now. So if your fees are $1,200 a month and you keep that house for 3 months, you're probably in for 3,600 plus utilities. So that's 4,000 here. So now you're starting to learn the whole thing of what your revenue and project costs are, because this is your project costs. This section is your revenue. And to find out your profit, you take your revenue and subtract project costs. That's it. And that's your profit, but you have to have all the costs incurred. So the profit is here. That means on this particular house where you have a $70,000 purchase price, your rehab is 33 and all the lender fees, you'll make 37,000 on a flip. You'll make 37,000. I always say I like a 40,000 cushion or more, but that's cool. So if your ARV is lower, let's say your ARV is only 150,000 on that house. Sorry, 150,000 on the house. Now you're down to 27,000. And that's after closing costs, because we put closing costs up here that are about $2,000 plus the lender fees and everything. And then there's closing costs down here when you sell the house. That's your closing costs that you pay. And then the commissions. So you're including everything. So you know exactly what your bottom line now is going to be. Whereas before we kind of was guessing, this is more like we are actually putting in the numbers and knowing now these are all the project costs that are involved in this house. This is all the all the revenue that that there is involved. And then this is our profit. So obviously you can play around with this number as much as you want. So you can even go to some of your own properties that you have and see if, there's changes that you want to make on your own properties. I had Chuck test it and Eric test it as well. And they played around on their own properties and they saw that the numbers lined up. So this should be a great tool, you guys, to help you be able to decide if a property is a good flip. So now you got the WINULATor for renting or the RENTulator for renting, and then you'll have this and it's quick. All you got to do is change these numbers. You'll know the rent now or the mortgage now. You'll know your holding costs. You just add that up, times 4 months or 5 months or however long your rehab project takes. And then you know your ARVs because you've done your numbers. And you know your commission because you talk to your realtors and you add everything up. And now you know your exact profit. And I think that's what a lot of us have been missing. So anybody have any questions about this?
Now's the time, guys. Now's the time. We know a lot of you have been asking us about flips. So again, I want to make sure we acknowledge and thank Myckelle for putting this together. Took a lot of time talking to a lot of the different lenders as well as messing with the formulas in Excel.
So it can
And
change to like if some of them don't charge that initiation fee, so you can blank that out.
yeah,
When you get ready to do your refi, if you want to put this down or have a lower loan, some of them only charge 10% or 11 or 12, and that'll bring your payment down to 750. But it's all gonna auto-populate as you put your exact fees in. When you talk to each lender and when you talk to your contractors, when you talk to your agents, you just plug and play a writing. And I wanted to make it as simple as possible so that it helps you guys to be able to get the best number at the end of the day. And if it's really low, like I'd say like 10, 15,000, that might not be something you want to flip.
Yeah. We got some comments in there. Game changer, excellent. Thank you. Great presentation, very valuable.
Sorry about the problems. I'm trying to switch it over so that we can't all see each other's numbers. And because the way we made it originally, it's accidentally where we type it in and we all see each other's numbers. But we're trying to do it and take it to a different spreadsheet where you can individually, have it and keep it for yourself. So do you guys have any other questions? Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you guys. This is the only tools we want to do to make this thing better and to make this a better experience for all of you so that you guys have the best chances of making money on each one of your properties.
So are we sharing this on the in the
Facebook
file?
page.
Yeah, on the Facebook page.
I can put it in the Facebook page there's a section called
Under the files.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Myckelle. I appreciate it.
Well,
You're the best.
ah,
You know you are.
thank you. I appreciate it. But I appreciate you guys for being here. Is there anything Eric and Chuck want to say? We got 6 more minutes.
No, the only thing that I'll add in real quick before Eric jumps on is an amazing tool. I think this is going to help a lot of people. This tool still will only work if you are good with getting your numbers right. So this tool is not a cheat code to understanding how to, analyze a property. Good information in, great information out. That's where your profits are. Eric?
This was great. This is an amazing new tool to like Chuck said, add to your arsenal. Thank you, Myckelle. Thank you, Chuck. And thank you to all of you for coming on with us and spending your Saturday morning with us. We love it. I love to see all the faces, and I just love to see everybody growing with us. I got nothing else other than I'll see a lot of you guys in June. We got boots on the ground. So start prepping now.
June 22nd through the 24th, guys. So write those
Yep.
days down if you don't have
Start prepping now. Everybody's
And-
asking about it. We'll be doing it in June. We'll be ready to go. You got anything? I'm done, Myckelle.
Well, I was just gonna say, and make sure that when we send the link to sign up, that you sign up. There's only 30 spaces. That includes us in on the bus, me, Chuck. That includes
Yeah, we got to be on there too. So
So there's only about 25 spaces. And I noticed that people will wait and then they get full, and then people are like, what? I didn't get in. And then again, priority is always going to be on the bus for the people who have never been on the meeting and haven't bought a house, because we want to make sure, and haven't shown their house, because we want to make sure that those people actually have the full experience that all you guys did when you started too. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Happy Mother's Day
happy Mother's Day to all you mothers.
Happy Mother's Day.
we got a question on the boots on the ground date in July. I think the leadership team is going to take that into consideration. As of right now, there is not one planned for July, but that does not mean that if the demand is there and if the need is there for mentees to show properties, or we have, an influx of new students, that we won't be right back out there.
Right. Yeah. Because if not, we'd have to wait all the way till October, which is kind of a big gap from June to October. So we're trying to work it out. If we don't do July, because July is so close, but if we don't do July, we'll move it to maybe September or something.
Yeah. We'll work on that.
Yeah, we'll let you know for sure.
You guys will know by the time we do the next boots on the ground. You will know about July. So
yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful weekend with your loved ones, and we'll see you on the next one. Of course, we'll have another meeting. We have a book club meeting, you guys, on the 18th. I know all you guys are reading.
That's so funny.
I heard women say, we want to get together outside. No, we got ways to get together right in here. We got to learn and grow together.
So ain't nobody going outside the juke joint. Everybody stay inside the juke joint. Don't go outside.
Right. And then the next meeting we have is going to be June 14th. So the next Zoom, you guys, we should have a guest speaker as well. All right, you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank
Everyone.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.